Hey everyone, quick update video. I've made it to Singapore, amazing city. If you've never been, highly recommend it. You check it out. I haven't been here for like 18 years, so it's been really fun to rediscover it. It has some of the coolest architecture that incorporates plants and like walkways with water features that cool the surrounding air. It's just like a really cool city doing a lot of fun things with urban design and clean tech. Yeah, highly recommend exploring it. I have got my reservation to try good meat, so I'll be finally trying cultivated meat for the first time. And I'm really excited for that, obviously, because I get to try it, but more so because it's going to give me a good idea of just where the technology is. Finally, I've been creating this YouTube channel on a hunch that this is the technology of the future, and I'm just really curious to see where we actually are with that. So that's gonna be fun. I will post a video on some of my thoughts sometime next week, probably. I did go check out the facility that I think their factory is in, which they've just built this year. And if you're kind of looking at the photos that Good Meat has released online, it all seems to add up. So that's just kind of a little fun thing to check out. Actually, a couple interesting things. One, Baydock Food City, this is where I went, scheduled to open Q1 2023, will have the capacity to produce tens of thousands of pounds of meat without the need to slaughter a single animal. The build-out will feature the single largest bioreactor in the cultivated meat industry to date and will be home to approximately 50 researchers, scientists, and engineers. Future operations. The company is also considering future operations for expanded large-scale production and additional R&D activities. Go to market. We'll launch new products here, distribute to other countries in Asia from here, and learn from consumers here who have proven themselves to be at the cutting edge of what's next. Now, let's just take a map and let's see where this facility is located. So looking here, we have the shipping terminal, which is 30-minute drive away. We have the airport, which is a 10-minute drive away. I don't see them shipping meat on planes, but all that to say, great infrastructure and very close to major transportation. Singapore, I believe, wants to have 30% of their protein and just food production done locally by 2030. So that would include both vegetables, fruits, and protein. Good meat has a lot of growth potential because there's over 5 million people in Singapore and definitely a lot of room for meat consumption. Now, if we zoom out a bit, because they talked about also shipping to other places in Asia, personally, I think like Malaysia's close, it's right across the water, Indonesia is very close. Personally, I would think that the next market is actually going to be Hong Kong. The reason for that is Hong Kong, similar to Singapore, is a massive city with millions of people. Hong Kong is slightly larger. They're about 7 to 8 million people, whereas Singapore is in the 5 million range. Both of them have similar issues of food security, where majority of their food needs to be imported, and both of them are very wealthy cities, and a lot of the food that gets imported isn't necessarily going to be from nearby regions because, like in the case of Hong Kong, people don't necessarily trust food quality in China. Of course, you get a lot of food imported into Hong Kong from China, but people who have money are going to spend it on higher quality products. And in the case of Hong Kong, this is from 2018, 1.64 million tons of beef are shipped from Brazil to Hong Kong. They are the number one receiver of Brazilian beef imports worldwide. A quarter of all Brazilian beef imports go to Hong Kong, one city.
it's such an illustration of how the market works, both what the issues are, but also what the potential is. In the case of this, in Brazil, they're cutting down millions of acres of rainforest in order to grow beef for one city. Now, a lot of other countries, China has their own beef industry, the EU has their own beef industry, the US has their own beef industry. Obviously, as a whole, we want to reduce factory farming, but the impact of bringing cultivated meat to Hong Kong has an order of magnitude difference than targeting these other markets. So I think as good meat looks to scale, of course, they're working on chicken right now, but as we get more startups that are eventually into other meats, I really do think it's going to start with Singapore and then go to Hong Kong and then go to a lot of these other countries. Also, these two cities just have most of the money and consumer spending power to support the market. So that's kind of what I see right now. But either way, Asia's very wealthy. There's a lot of countries here that I'm sure would have people that would pay for this. I don't really see any issues in terms of being able to find a willing market.
I've also been trying to find what products are currently on the market already, and there's not much. But we have the Cool Halves animal free ice cream, and this stuff is everywhere. It's in all the 7-Elevens, it's in most of the supermarkets which have import goods. So, like, there's small kind of market supermarkets, neighborhood supermarkets, which wouldn't have it, but anything that would carry any of the larger supermarkets would have it. So it's quite ubiquitous already. And price wise, it's probably the same as a Haagen-Dazs. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool to see this. It's like just another ice cream on the shelf, and it's not like a specialty store. So that's fun to see. I did also try the milk here that's made with Perfect Day, and I thought it was really good. It wasn't quite what I was expecting. So to elaborate on that, I personally like drinking high fat content homogenized milk. And so I drink a lot of oat milk, I drink a lot of soy milk, but when I drink cow's milk, I like drinking this high fat content milk. And so when I kind of think about the market, a lot of people are already drinking plant based milks, and that's one of the things that has already started to shift. But there's still a percentage of people that like to drink cow's milk. And so if we take my example as one segment of people, in theory, let's just say they're not going to switch until we get the product that's identical. So this one wasn't it, and I think that's fine. Like, Singapore is really hot. You don't want to be drinking really high fat content milks. Like, we're on the equator, it's super hot. It's just not something that makes sense for the market, and so I don't think that this not being that high fat content milk is going to be a problem at all. To me, it's more on the lines of a skim milk, and it tastes like a combination of oat and soy milk, I would say. A bit sweeter than I would like, but again, it's like as a beverage, it's perfectly great. It's all about your preferences. But if we're looking for this is a 1-to-1 replacement for a high fat content homogenized cow milk, that wouldn't be it. So I'm curious to see what Strive milk and Board Cow, I believe they're called. There's also Better Land milk, which will be coming out sometime soon. It hasn't yet. And those are all going to be coming out in the US. So I do want to try those just to see, is this a technology thing or is this just a market preference thing? And that is interesting because that in turn I think relates to cheese. If ice cream's 1-to-1, which we now have with the Perfect Day Animal ice cream, the milk's 1-to-1, then that means that technology should be mature enough to achieve cheese products that are high quality, and that's really what I'm most excited about. That's kind of my thoughts around that. That's been really fun to try, and just fun to see how things are being marketed here. So with the ice cream, it's just in an ice cream section. It's in the ice creams at 7-Eleven. It's in the ice. It's not in a separate place or anything. With these milks, I've noticed, at least, I don't know, I didn't go to every supermarket, but for the one or two that I went to that did carry this, they sold it both in the plant-based milk section and in the dairy section. So they had it in both. And I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, it's been interesting just to see placement of these products. Yeah, in general, I would say Singapore has a lot more plant-based meats and alternative milks already. People seem pretty open to this kind of thing. It's not like they need to be sold on it. Yeah, it's just been interesting to see how things are being sold here, what is available, and I don't see it being that big of a challenge to introduce these products into the market here. People in Asia are pretty open to new technologies. I think a lot more so than in the West, actually. And I just don't see this being a hard sell. I think it's going to take off here in Asia. If it's all, like, if the product's good, I think people will buy it, with cultivated meat specifically. So yeah, I'm really excited just to try it, just to see where we actually are with the technology, what's possible with the technology, and yeah, that'll be cool. I'll let you know. I'm Chris. Catch you in the next video.